What's up, fellas? I wanted to go over some stuff as our season's starting to kick off. I wanted to go over some stuff that I'm going to put in my boat this year. And I've, over time, of fishing a lot of tournaments, not just local tournaments, but also tournaments you're going to be traveling for a long way for. So these are some things I'm going to recommend that you put in your boat, in your truck, so on, to keep yourself successful. You know, in fishing, we can't control the weather or the fish themselves. We can only control our gear, rods, reels, and that includes keeping your boat running and safe. So some of the things I carry a spare motor locks. You never know, somebody might, especially when you're traveling in California or Havasu down in Arizona, there's a good chance somebody might try to steal these. So I carry 2 extra spare sets for my boat. These aren't the ones I use the TH Marine ones. The next thing I'm going to carry is a toolkit. This toolkit is got sockets, but they're like special sockets, so they run through. So if you have like a long bolt, you can still stick this on there and run the bolt will run through it. So like when you're tightening up your power poles or talons, because when you're traveling a long way, a lot of times they'll get loose and they'll start rattling. That's something you really want to check whenever you get, let's say you're traveling here in Idaho. We're typically, any big events we're going to go to, we're going to be traveling around 2,400 miles. So whenever you get to that destination, it's 1,200 miles approximately one way. So you're going to want to check all that stuff as soon as you get there. So the other thing I carry, prop wrench. I don't buy those cheap, flimsy prop wrenches. I had one and I broke it right out of the gate. You want one that you know is going to work every single time. Make sure before you leave, this one got a little rust on it, but it still works. You want to make sure before you leave you have one. And I actually carry 2. So I carry a spare prop wrench in my truck just in case this one gets dropped in the water, because if you're on the water and you lose it. Along with the prop wrench, I carry a spare prop. Again, going back to doing long travels for big tournaments, one of your highest risks is somebody stealing your prop or you hitting something. Like if you go to the Delta or something like that, you've never been there, there's a good chance you're going to lose. You might run into something, bend up a prop, and if you're spending $1,600 in entry fees, you don't want to not have a prop, because you never know when you get somewhere if they're going to even have a prop for you to put on your boat. So I would recommend carrying a spare prop. They're expensive. Nixon's carries a lot of spare props. So you might check with them, see if they have a used one. Or if you don't like your prop, you might be able to swap them one out. But make sure you carry a spare prop if you're going to go do big events. Even club events, if it's a lot of money on the line, you're talking thousands of dollars plus your time, you want to make sure you invest in a spare prop. Along with the spare prop, they have prop lockouts, but I just carry a 2x4 in my bucket to keep, so that I can put that prop and lock it out. I know this isn't going to break. A lot of that plastic stuff's going to break, and you do not want to have something like that breaking, especially when you need to get back fishing as fast as you can, and whether that be practice or in the middle of a tournament. I carry one of these. It has its values, but now with spot lock and your graphs, not a lot of people use these anymore. I carry a first aid kit. This is kind of just a cheaper one, but it doesn't hurt to have medical stuff on your boat, whether that be a more bigger one like this or a bigger one than this. This one takes care of it says 1 to 4 people, and I would definitely check it every year. Open it up, make sure you look in there, make sure it's not getting moldy, because if they sit in the boat, what I do is I put them in these buckets like this, all my stuff in these buckets, and it has a seal around it. So when you close it, it's sealed. So all that stuff's going to stay dry in there. If you're fishing Washington, they require you to have a tournament banner. So that's something to think about if you're going over to Washington. And some tournaments just require them, because if you break down, you flip them over. It has an orange side. It keeps you safe, and it also lets people know if you're broke down. So I carry that because we do fish some tournaments in Washington. I carried this. This actually came from a story this year. I carry a universal kill switch set. I left my life jacket in the passenger or in the seat and drove off. Lost my kill switch, lost my life jacket, which I'd had forever. And I didn't have one. Lucky enough, it was at a Cast for Kids event. My buddy had one, so as soon as I did that, I went and bought 2 of these suckers. Carry that; it's a lifesaver. Another thing you're gonna want to, I carry electrical tape. I carry spare batteries. If you have power poles or anything that runs off batteries, your scale, you want to carry spare batteries because you don't want your power poles or talons not to work because you don't have fresh batteries, or have to waste the time to run to the store before you start a day because you absolutely have to have it working. So obviously I carry a lot of spare talon switches. I carry prop plugs. I also carry, in this other bag down here, I carry spare fuses. So you want to check what fuses you have on your boat. Like, let's say you have a battery charger, they have fuses, and you never know where you're going to be plugging your boat in. So what you want to do is you want to go in and you want to check what fuses you have in your boat that you might need, because you never know if you get a surge of power from one of the plug-ins, which I had happen this year, it'll fry that fuse and your battery won't charge. So you want to check that. Electrical tape, I carry electrical tape. You never know when you're going to need electrical tape. People that have power poles, if they fail, they got to have some way to tie it up, either a tie rope or you can use electrical tape. I carry some various different drill bits. I carry spare bolts for my Minn Kota talons, because if you lose one, you might need one. So I carry spare stuff like that. I carry spare stuff for the mount on the front for my live scope. Various different screwdrivers. I carry this one specifically for your tilt and trim. There's a screw there, and if it fails, the only way to get your motor back up is you have to back that off, release the pressure, and then you'll have to pick that motor up and put it back. I've had that happen, so I carry spare one of these. And some of this stuff I don't have in the boat, but I would carry in a tournament situation. The other thing I carry is spare trolling motor cables. I have had on a fun fishing day, which you don't want to have happen in a tournament, but my trolling motor cable broke and you can't turn the motor. Now a lot of people are running those spot lock and hands-free, so that would be completely different situation that you would be dealing with. So something I don't have one on my boat yet. I'd like to have the Garmin trolling motor, Garmin Force trolling motor. I'd like to have that, but I don't yet. So those are a few things that I carry in the boat. This box stays in my boat all the time. So this one's tournament, big tournament, small tournament, doesn't matter, club tournament, any kind of tournament, day to day. This box will always have the same stuff in there. The next thing you want to do before your season starts is you want to go through and you want to check your hubs. If you have grease, put some grease in them. They don't take a lot. That's one of the misconceptions. You don't want to pump them completely full of grease. You just want to put enough in there. You don't want it puking out or anything like that, because basically what happens is there are seals in those bearings. You put too much grease in them and they're going to blow out. The next thing you're going to want to make sure you check, this is on your trailer, you're going to want to make sure you have the right socket set to change a tire. I would also recommend having a jack specifically for your boat. You're not always going to have a curb to back it up on and pull it off. So this year I had a vault bearing blow apart. When they fail completely. We put it probably about 10,000 miles on the trailer by the time it blew out, and it was a 2011. So you want to repack those every year, depending on how much you're running, or add grease. You don't really repack them. You just get a hub kit or a hub set, and basically I carry spare of that too in my boat now. You put the grease in, You can't use just any grease. You want to use the Vault grease, so you want to get the whole kit. It typically comes with 2 caps and the grease. You want to put the grease in there, suck the cap shut. Now you can put a little bit of gasket seal around those hubs. When you put it in, it'll lock them in place and make sure they don't come off. Inspect those on a continual basis, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to get running down the road like I did, need to be somewhere, and basically the bearing blew apart and I had no way to get the tire off. And luckily enough for me, I was close enough to home. I got it there, got it fixed, no big deal. Other thing you want to carry in your boat as well is spare jumper cables. You may have to jump your boat at some point if your batteries run dead or you have one fail. So carry spare jumper cables in your boat as well. That is a huge lifesaver. Down on the Delta, or down on Clear Lake, excuse me, I had batteries fail. Not 1, but 2. And I had to get jumped more than 1 time to get through that tournament. Again, that's another thing you want to check before your season starts is your batteries. If you're not checking your batteries, and you're going to a tournament that you're spending $1,600 to $1,000, $900 on entry fees, you don't want to get stuck with shitty batteries and lose practice time. We only have so many hours on the day to make find fish, catch fish, so on. So you want to be very cautious when you're leaving for these big tournaments that everything that is in your control is functioning properly. But those are some of the things I would recommend carrying in your boat for this year. I'm not going to talk about graphs and stuff that I would recommend if you're going to go do big tournaments. But hope you enjoy. Hopefully this helps some people out, because I know when I started, there was not a lot of people out there that would tell you how to take care of your boat or what to do. And I got into the habit of making a big mistake, is just going to as many tournaments as I could go to and spending as much money on fishing as I could. And what ended up happening is a lot of stuff started breaking down because I wasn't doing the maintenance, because I didn't know on your equipment. Motor, I would always, if you're starting the season out, take your motor and have it checked up. Out here in the Northwest, I have the utmost confidence in Nixon's Marine. They've been good to me. I've been going there for a long time. I want to say maybe 8-9 years. I've bought 2 boats from them. They've been absolutely perfect. If I have an issue, I call them up and I say, hey, and they get me in if they can as soon as possible. They get the issue fixed and they get me back on the water. Because for me, being on the water is very important, because if you're trying to make this into your living, you've got to have your boat as much as possible. And when you can't afford to buy a new boat, especially with the cost of boats these days. Boats now are ranging, on the cheap side without anything on them, between $70,000 to $100,000 for a base model. So that's what I'd recommend you carry in your boat. Another thing I'd recommend, if you're going somewhere like Havasu, Delta, anywhere, if you're going to go to the ramp, I'd plan on getting there and going and looking at the ramp. The reason I recommend that is because down in Havasu, I didn't know that on their exits they have spikes. So I made the mistake, you're getting in a hurry, you get running to the ramp, and that's something that happens with me. I get in a hurry, I make mistakes, they're stupid mistakes, but I went in the exit and it got 7 out of my 8 tires, and the first 2 days of the tournament I could not practice because the store wasn't open. It was a Sunday, and yeah. So with that being said, there's when I was down there, Big O Tires, I have to say a huge thank you to those guys, because they pulled a huge deal for me. They gave me a deal on some tires and were super helpful. And that's one of the things you find in this industry. And I know this is dragging out, but there are so many good people that you start meeting, and if you have a bad attitude about something bad happening, because in this game, you're going to have bad things happen. It's part of it. You're going to have things break down. We're pushing our equipment, everything to the limit. We're pushing ourselves and to the limit as well. So you're going to get tired and you are going to make mistakes. You're going to leave a boat plug out. Fortunately for me, I haven't done that yet on a bass boat. I've done it twice on a little 16-foot game fisher. But there are so many incredible people that when I've had problems have stepped up and wanted to help me the best way possible. So make sure you're courteous and kind when something bad happens, because people are not going to judge you based on when good things happen. People are going to judge you based on when bad things happen. So with that being said, hope you guys have a successful season. Hope you enjoyed this a little bit. I know it's a little bit longer. I'm probably going to put this on Facebook because YouTube's pretty slow growing right now. But I think it needs to get out there before the start of the season. Stay safe out there. Wear your life jacket. Kill switch. Big deal. I don't care if you're in a tournament, out of a tournament. There has been so many boating accidents in the last couple years, and a lot of them you see the boats spinning out in circles or taking off down the lake or river, and the number one thing that said, I wasn't wearing my kill switch. Safety is your biggest concern, especially when you have more than one person to think about. In a team tournament, club events, you have two people typically, and you want to keep those people safe. So keep catching them. Hope you have a good season. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Catch you guys later.